He does not at this moment have a torn UCL. But there's enough concern about that ligament that Gerrit Cole is going to Los Angeles, California. He's going to meet with the infamous Neil Elatrach, who has suggested this in-person visit. And what we know is that Gerrit Cole will miss an extended period of time. It may sound nuts to hear this in this moment. It's actually not the worst news. Because to me, Tiki, over the last 48 hours, as we have waited and waited and waited, my thought has been just avoid him being out for the season. Live another day. This doesn't mean he's back on June 1st or even July 1st or even pitching this season. But at least today, Tiki, we haven't been punched out with the news that the most reliable pitcher of the last 8 years is not going to be reliable in 2024 at all.
Right. So at least he's available at some point in the dreaded, well, it's like getting a midseason acquisition type of conversation that Yankee fans can think about wanting to have, but it gives no comfort to the fact that they're going to be without him for a month or two. And the challenge when you lose an ace like Gerrit Cole is, how do you replace him, right? Who picks up the slack? Now, I know in the bullpenning era of Major League Baseball, it becomes, I guess, less important to have a guy who can go 6 or 7 innings, make your bullpen, less taxed as the weeks go on and on. But there's still the replacing him issue.
Yes.
And I know we believe that this Yankee squad with Soto and Judge and everybody else is going to bludgeon opponents to death, but you still need pitching.
Yes.
And so the issue is replacing him regardless of how long he's out, whether it's a month or two or for the entire season. You still got to think about replacing him.
The problem we all have is that I could sit here and read to you a dissertation on what Twitter doctors are telling us about Gerrit Cole, but the truth is the Yankees don't know. That's the truth. The Yankees do not know as of this moment if Gerrit Cole's going to pitch in June, if he's going to pitch in August, or if he's going to pitch it all this season. All we know is that the news that came out today isn't a knockout blow. It doesn't finish him off for the season. It gives you hope that maybe he can come back. And the reality of Gerrit Cole right now is the Yankees have no idea. So as fans, we didn't get the firm 1,000% answer. All you got is a little bit of hope.
Right.
But I kind of think about what you just said. And that is, okay, we've just been given a big punch in the face. Not the knockout blow, but a punch in the face. Now what?
Now what?
Makes me think of Robert Saleh. Now what? What are you going to do about it?
Now what?
Problem number one, and I'll tell you exactly what I would do about it. I'm going to give you an answer.
Yep.
But problem number one is the Yankees' biggest issue coming into this season, and I totally get why it's their issue. We all understand why, is that they traded their pitching depth for Juan Soto.
Right.
Was it worth it? Yes. They traded for Juan Soto. So it'd be great to have the depth they traded to San Diego. It ain't walking through the door. So the problem is the Yankee pitching depth right now. I'll name you the names, and 92% of the audience is going to say, who the hell is that? Luke Weaver is your pitching depth. Cody Poteet is your pitching depth. Clayton Beater is your pitching depth. I can't even say Luis Gil is your pitching depth because he had Tommy John surgery and only threw 4 innings last year. Chase Hampton, who's a prospect, probably not ready. That's your pitching depth. The problem is they don't have pitching depth.
Yes.
So the answer is simple. And sometimes I say, you got to be smart. You got to be reasonable. It's not our money, but it is our money. The answer is Hal Steinbrenner has to take out his pocketbook. Because the only way to not replace Gerrit Cole, because replacing Gerrit Cole is impossible. Let's not waste our time talking about replacing Gerrit Cole. Gerrit Cole's the most reliable pitcher in baseball. There's no pitcher in baseball as good and reliable as Gerrit Cole. So replacing him, even if there was a fantasy draft league where you could just pick off someone else's roster, you're not doing it. So it's not replacing Gerrit Cole. Get that out of your mind. It doesn't exist. It's, hey, how do we survive without him? And the easiest way to do that is to open your pocketbook and sign either Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell. It's the easy answer, and quite frankly, it's the right answer.
Right. It's the expensive answer as well because it's 110%, as we all know, with the CBT and the monetary issues that they face and what kind of deal you're going to get. It's interesting as we talk about these two, let's call them aces that are still left, Snell and Montgomery, and why they still haven't been signed yet. And it's because nobody wants to give them long-term deals. But the fact that they're going to sign someplace and get a short-term deal, whether it's 1 year and opt-out like every other one of Scott Boras's clients have done, it almost makes it appealing for the Yankees, but not quite appealing for anybody else. So the Yankees become the obvious destination, right? They don't necessarily need Blake Snell 3 years from now. Maybe they do, but they need him for this year.
For this year.
To replace Gerrit Cole in the interim, in the short term. But that still obscures the bigger issue here. Gerrit Cole doesn't have a torn UCL. So what the hell does he have? I know that this doctor, I forget his name, you said it, but he says they want to do more testing, right? They've done an MRI. They've, I'm sure, done countless number of tests over the last couple of days. What is it if it's not a UCL
It could
tear?
be a strain. It could be, I mean, there's a lot of things it could be short of a torn UCL. And look, it's a concern long-term, obviously, because Gerrit Cole is signed long-term. Right now, for me, and I think for the Yankee fan, I think I can speak for you on this. We'll worry about 2025 and 2025. It's why I've told Met fans to stop thinking about Juan Soto for next year. That's next year. We're talking about this year. No baseball fan wants to throw away a season. And let me tell you this right now. I've said this before about my teams. I'll say it about your team. I will not sit here and accept throwing away a season. No. It's bullcrap. It's bullcrap because I've got history on my side. When Adam Wainwright, who's damn good, as much as I got to tell him to go F himself, Adam Wainwright was awesome. Do you know what happened in 2011? For those that don't, I'll tell you. He needed Tommy John surgery. It was right before the season. I think it was February or March. And you know what the St. Louis Cardinals did that season anyway? They won the World Series. Don't tell me your season is over. When Ronald Acuna Jr. went down in 2021, guess what the Atlanta Braves did? They won the World Series. Don't tell me you can't win. So I'm sorry. I get it's a negative day. I get you scared. I've experienced all of that. And look, sometimes it does ruin your season. Last year, I wasn't going to accept that Edwin Diaz was going to ruin the Mets season. Did it ultimately contribute to their demise? Absolutely. I'm not naive to that. But not in this moment, not today, not on March 13th. I don't accept that. And no Yankee fan should accept that. And so what needs to happen is that this organization needs to be to their word. We'll do anything to win. We're hell-bent on winning. Then go do something about it. Because I'll tell you this. If my house burned down today and I didn't have insurance, would I say to my wife, well, listen, I'm sorry, I only had the money for us to have the house. There's nothing we could do about it. Sorry, we don't have a house. We're going to sleep outside. No, we're not. We're going to find a way, whether it's borrowing money from my parents or Tommy Lugauer, to go stay in a hotel for a few weeks.
Now what?
You figure it out. And guess what? Me having my house burned down, knock on wood, is not Hal Steinbrenner, who's a billionaire. It's not Steve Cohen, who's a billionaire. You guys who go to games and spend top dollar, you don't need to be told, sorry, we're not spending more. 110% on every dollar we spend is too much. No, because your prices aren't changing this season. So what the Yankees need to do, what I would demand that they do, and every Yankee fan should demand they do, is tell the New York Yankees, stick to your word that you're hell-bent on winning a championship. We don't know if Gerrit Cole's going to pitch this season. We don't know if he's going to come back in June. So do something about it. And by the luck of God, the baseball gods, you have two pitchers that are sitting right there for you. That doesn't happen. That doesn't exist. It's there.
Right. And
so instead of pouting and moping, and it sucks, the Yankees need to step up and prove to their fans that this isn't all-in season. We are trying to win a World Series because nobody wants to hear 110% tax. No one gives a rat's ass.
I agree. It's just it's funny because I listened to like the noise that's starting to percolate around this Gerrit Cole injury, and it's all about, well, let's sign Blake Snell. Let's sign Jordan Montgomery. I've lived my life not really believing in coincidence. Like things that just happen, they just happen because whatever, some higher being wanted it to happen. What are the chances that Gerrit Cole, a Scott Boras client, gets hurt while two of Scott Boras' other clients, who happen to be pitchers and really good ones, especially from a year ago, are available?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I know it is coincidence, but what in the hell are the chances of it actually being this case?
Look, I get what you're saying, and I hate to be...
And I'm not saying there's a conspiracy theory.
No,
I know we floated that, whether it was last week or earlier this week. I know we've talked about it. It's not the case, but it's just the way things work out sometimes might be for the best for the Yankees, even if it costs them more. It's just it's just a head scratcher.
Well, the best case scenario is you listen to what I'm saying right now, and every Yankee fan is probably saying you add one of those guys, and then by the gift of the baseball gods, Gerrit Cole's back in July. And now all of a sudden you have a super rotation. That's the best case scenario. But the New York Yankees are not the New York Mets of 2024. They are not the Boston Red Sox of 2024. And what I mean by that is the Boston Red Sox and the New York Mets are trying to win. You know what I mean? Air quotes I'm using.
Right.
They're trying to win. I think the Mets are trying to win. I think when the Red Sox signed Lucas Giolito, they're trying to win. But here's what the Mets and the Red Sox aren't. They are not balls to the wall trying to win. The New York Yankees should be.
Right. They have to be.
They have to be. And so this news today and the uncertainty we have leads you down the road of how? Do what you got to do. And notice, I didn't say give up the world for Dylan Cease, trade all your prospects for Dylan Cease. I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting money. And here's what's really important to keep in mind, because I'm telling you, if anyone says this to me today, it's going to annoy me. And that is, you can't replace Gerrit Cole. How do you replace Gerrit Cole? Blake Snell's not Gerrit Cole. Forget Gerrit Cole. You're not replacing Gerrit Cole today.
Right.
You know who you're replacing? I want to be very specific with you. You know who you're replacing if you sign Blake Snell? You know who you're replacing if you sign Jordan Montgomery? You're not replacing Gerrit Cole. You're replacing Luke Weaver. Because that's the guy who goes into the rotation this year. You're replacing Clayton Beeter. That's who you're replacing. And by the way, no offense to Clayton Beeter. He's got some really good potential. He pitched great in AA and he struggled in AAA. I don't mean to pick on him. My point is, you're not replacing Gerrit Cole because Gerrit Cole is unreplaceable. There is no pitcher in this sport today that can replace Gerrit Cole. I believe that. That's how good he is. It's how much respect I have for this guy. So you're not replacing Gerrit Cole. Don't give me this loser mentality of, well, it's not Gerrit Cole, so why bother? F that. If that's true, if you really believe that you can't win without an ace like Gerrit Cole, then explain to me every World Series winner since Gerrit Cole came into the league. Explain them. Because Gerrit Cole hasn't been on that team. Like, teams win without aces.
But I don't think it's about Gerrit Cole specifically. I think it's just a top-line pitcher that you need. And I mean, look, the Yankees potentially have that. Right? It could be Carlos Rodon, right? It could be, I don't know, Marcus Stroman. It could be one of these guys that's already on the rotation that steps up and fills the void in a meaningful way. Probably not the same as Gerrit Cole, but it doesn't need to be the same. You just need to be a complete team. And right now, what the Yankees lack is quality starting pitching depth. There are two guys available. I mean, at this point, you almost have to go get them. But to me, I'm still thinking about Gerrit Cole. If it's not a UCL tear, what the hell is it?
Well, what do you think it is?
I don't know.
You played sports?
I don't know.
At least I hear you did.
It doesn't make. I mean, it was a long time ago, but it doesn't make a lot of sense how this thing all played out. From an injury out of nowhere to we're going to delay this for a couple of days to we need 30 doctors to look at it to now it's not a UCL tear, but we need more testing, and he's going to miss 2 months. It's odd.
I think the pitching elbow is a very complicated thing. And I wish, everybody listening wishes this was easy and this was simple. Injuries in sports and injuries to pitcher, they're not easy. And I'm not surprised. I want to tell you why I'm not surprised. And this is depressing what I'm about to say because, man, you know I love this sport. And one thing I love about this sport is great starting pitching. That's what really is something I love. That's what give me a pitcher's duel, and not just like any pitcher's duel, 2 aces going at it. I love it. And it's why, even though I'm a Met fan, I have such great respect for Gerrit Cole. But I'll tell you why it's not surprising, and this sucks what I'm about to tell you. Gerrit Cole has thrown more pitches than anybody in baseball over the last 7 years by a lot.
Right.
It's not even close. And most of Gerrit Cole's pitches that he throws when he whips that arm out is 97 miles an hour. It's not normal. When Jacob deGrom was dominating in 18 and 19, you know what I used to say to Beningo? And you could say, oh, it was Evan being nervous. It was Roberts-itis. What I would say to Joe is what Jake is doing is not normal. He's throwing too hard, too often. And it's not normal, and it's too good to be true. And it sucks, man. It sucks that I was right. It sucks that that's the way baseball is today. And it sucks that whether you're a Yankee fan or you're a baseball fan, we have been taken away from us the joy of watching a true ace. That word is thrown around way too often. There aren't many aces in baseball. He's one of them. But for 8 years, before he even came here, when he was with the Astros, when he was with the Pirates, this bleep was throwing 200 innings. He was throwing 110 pitches every game. He was throwing thousands upon thousands upon thousands of pitches at 97 miles an hour. It was bound to happen. It sucks, man. It's why there was an urgency in the moment. It's why in August I said, hey, guys, if you're not all in, trade him. I didn't say it to be a hater. I said it because he's a walking time bomb. And then when you decide not to trade him and you sort of go all in and you sign Juan Soto, I'm like, dude, it's not enough. Go get Josh Hader. It's not enough. Go get this guy. A part of why I say this is because what Gerrit Cole has done is so unique and it's so special and it's fleeting, dude. It doesn't last.
Of course.
DeGrom didn't last. Even Kershaw didn't last. Gerrit Cole doesn't last. Nobody lasts. Dude, I say this with almost a tear in my eye. I love this sport. This sucks about the sport. So don't be surprised. This is the sport we watch. This is the job he has. It was only a matter of time. And the timing couldn't have been worse.
I can't believe you guys are being so negative right now. This is like the best news we could have got as Yankee fans because for the last 2 days I sat there going, oh my God, he's lost to Tommy John, he's tore his UCL. And the only thing we got for sure out of this, and I'm with you, what could it be, Tiki, is that he didn't tear his UCL. So the Yankees, by the way, should have had the foresight a month ago when these guys were available and Hal Steinbrenner wasn't willing to spend to say, if we do have a Gerrit Cole injury in May, June, July, what do we do? This should be a wake-up call to go add somebody, and if you don't want to spend, maybe it is Dylan Cease and give up prospects, but the bottom line is this. The way I'm approaching this right now, and the way the Yankees should be approaching this is just outslug teams, do all of that, and if you get Gerrit Cole back by freaking August 1st, then you get a well-rested Gerrit Cole that won't get hurt throughout the year for the playoffs. I'm breathing a sigh of relief as a Yankee fan.
I don't blame you on that. Here's where the only area where I may disagree with you. I can't trust he's going to be back.
Right.
The news we got today, you're right. It wasn't the knockout blow. It wasn't the worst-case scenario.
But to me, it feels worse.
How does it feel? Well, worse is Tommy John surgery. Bro, that's the ultimate worst.
But I think it's headed there. I think it's there regardless. It's not Tommy John, but there could be some other issue with the ligament. I'm assuming he's talking about the UCL. This is what the whatever the doctor's name is. This is what he said. So I want to do some more testing. So if it's not Tommy John, then why is he not available for 2 months? And what does that mean? Rest is not going to heal it. Or if it does, for whatever amount of time that he's able to pitch again, it's gonna come back.
If this eventually leads to Tommy John, you're right.
It feels like Tommy John is inevitable. And with 5 more years left on his deal, at $36 million a year, don't you want to maximize that? Because half the season's gone already.
Yeah, no, you're right about this. If this leads to Tommy John and it gets delayed till July, it's the worst case scenario.
Absolutely.
Because
now
25
is compromised.
Correct.
Right.
If he had it today, there's a chance he's back at some point next year.
There's a slight update to it that
Which
just
is?
broke about 15 seconds ago. Eric Boland of Newsday is saying that while Cole is currently in L.A. for more evaluation, he has inflammation. That's what they're calling it, inflammation around the elbow and those tendons. So I don't know what that means to you, if anything.
When there's inflammation, that means there's damage. Your body tries to heal itself. How? By protecting it, padding itself. And so there's blood cells that are going there and that's what causes inflammation. There's damage, right? There's something wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe this becomes Gerrit Cole's call, right? We won't hear from him until obviously all this is said and done. But at some point, he's got to weigh the risk of waiting this thing out. I want to be a part of this all-in season with Juan Soto and yada, all this nonsense that we're talking about. But he's got to weigh that versus what's best for me as a Yankee in my career. Because you nailed it, Evan. If he waits for a month or 2 months and then he pitches 8 games and then it gives, it's 2025.
It's 2 seasons. He's missed 2 years. Yes,
so
correct.
He pitches, wins a couple of games, does well or doesn't, who knows? But now he's missed most of the season this year and all of the season next year. Yeah. That's the worst case scenario.
Either way.
At some point, I would not be surprised if Gerrit Cole says, let's just do the surgery.
Yeah, if he needs it right now. Because right now, the view of the MRI hasn't revealed a tear yet.
No.
So if there's no tear, there's no need for surgery.
Right, but if there's no tear, what the hell is it?
Here's what I know. No matter how this ends, we have questions today. The Yankees have questions today because the Yankees don't know. Either way, my point remains the same. In a win-now, all-in season, you have to do something about it. And the baseball gods, known as Scott Boras, gave you a gift. There's 2 guys out there waiting for you.
Now what?
Do it. If you're Hal Steinbrenner, I'm sorry, bro. I know 110% tax is high. If you are really all in, you can't wait to find out about Gerrit Cole.